So now I'd like to introduce first the incredible actor, the belle of the ball, the light over at the Frankenstein place, a hero to me and so many millions of others, Mr. Tim Curry. Oh, shit.
I don't think this is really happening. But I've got quite a big voice. I can yell. Good evening, my unconventional conventioners.
Okay. We're going to do a lot of talking, but before I start the interrogation, I have to say, Mr. Curry, you are Vivian Lee as Scarlett O'Hara. You are Bryan Cranston as Heisenberg. You did what every actor dreams of. You actually became the character that you portrayed. A character that gave me and so many other marginalized people a role model. What an incredible feat.
I'm so glad. In the words of my sovereign, so glad, so very glad. I really am. And I was just talking to Lou, who said he'd read an interview with Richard O'Brien, who said that Don't Dream It, Be It wasn't his original, it was an advertisement. But he didn't say what for. But it's a banner that I've been proud to carry. I love it. Don't dream it, be it. It's the reason I wanted to do this show in the first place, because I thought it was so on the money and something to live by, as Mike obviously thinks so too.
Certainly is.
Which is a revelation. It's all a revelation to be here for the 50th anniversary of the movie playing continuously without any gaps, which is, I guess, what continuously means. Sometimes I'm a stranger to my own language. How is the traffic for you coming here? Worth it, but hell. I congratulate you, and I'm so thrilled that you struggled through the urban jungle to get here. When I love you back, I feel so lucky to have that group energy directed at me for a minute. It's lovely. It's life affirming, because you're affirming life is what you're doing, you guys. You're putting faith in it.
He's fucking better than I thought he'd be. He's so awesome. All right, I'm asking questions now.
Oh, all right.
It's my job. Since this is the GRAMMY Museum, I'm going to ask you some music questions.
Yes, sir.
What was the first song you ever heard from Richard, and what was the song that hooked you on this?
I think probably my first song in the play was pretty head on, which is what I was looking for. And I guess, Richard wrote 2 or 3 songs while we were still in rehearsal. He wrote Touch a Touch a Touch Me for Janet, because Julie Covington, who originated the part, was a great singer and was something of a star on the radio anyway. And he didn't think she had enough to sing, and we all agreed, and she killed it. And actually Susan was terrified of doing this, because when we met, she said, "But I can't sing." But she nailed it.
Speaking of nailing it,
Yes.
your very first audition, this was going to be your first play, and you just fucking nailed it.
It wasn't my first play.
Right again.
It was my first movie.
Right, but did you feel that it was just, you felt very strongly about this role?
I did. I didn't quite get it when I read it, because he was called Dr. Frankenfurter. When we started rehearsal, I was playing him with a German accent.
Do you have any tattoos, Brad?
But that didn't fly, really. And I just heard a woman speaking on the bus. And I thought, that's the voice, that's who he is. He's a hostess without any guests. Who wants to sound like the Queen and be like the Queen, or be a queen. What the hell?
Speaking of the royals and the Queen,
Yes.
at your first performance, who was there?
Rudolf Nureyev, if anybody knows who he was. I didn't find out until much, much later. He used to see everything that was new. He never missed anything, never missed a book or a play or a film or a record. He just had a voracious appetite for what was happening.
What about Princess Margaret and David Bowie?
Princess Margaret was supposed to come, and then there was a bomb scare. Somebody called in that they were going to bomb the princess, and the whole audience were evacuated out onto the sidewalk. But we still did the show.
Shit.
Well, it just must go on. The best royal remark was Diana, because I was in a play with the National Theatre. It was an 18th century comedy called Love for Love by Sheridan, and we were the sort of star attraction at British Week in Vienna, Austria. And I guess Charles and Diana came to wave the flag, and they saw the show. And at the end of the show, they wanted to meet us, so we all lined up. And Diana was wearing a blue sequin dress. She looked incredibly beautiful. And she said, "Is there anybody here from wardrobe? Because I've left a trail of blue sequins from the royal box." And then she was introduced to me, and she said, "You were in the Rocky Horror Show, weren't you?" And I said, "Yes, but I don't suppose you saw it, ma'am." And she said, "Indeed I did. It quite completed my education." Which was pretty good.
Wow. And the Queen Mother saw him perform too.
The Queen Mother came on her 80th birthday and sat in the royal box surrounded by roses and several bottles of gin, because that was poison. They call it Mother's Ruin in England, but she came to see it on her 80th birthday, and the audience sang happy birthday to her. And she came down onto the stage to meet us, and we were all lined up again and had to bow and curtsy and all of that. And I had to wheel on this enormous cake on a kind of cart, and she was supposed to cut it, but there wasn't a knife. Do you know what a cake slice is? It's a sort of triangular bladed thing that you shove underneath a slice of cake to remove it. And so I handed that to her first. And she said, "No, I think perhaps we ought to eat." When it wasn't Rocky, of course, that she was seeing. It was the Pirates of Penzance. And I was being the Pirate King. And she said, "I think perhaps we ought to try using your trusty sword." But she gave up and went for the cake slice anyway, because she was good in a crisis. She had terrible teeth, as the English tend to do, but she was a really winning example. And she had a tiara on that was secured by this sort of straggly grey hair. I don't know, but she was quite regal, I guess. She certainly looked royal. And she had a squad of ladies in waiting who were waiting. And her guest was Sir Frederick Ashton, who ran the Royal Ballet. But she was pretty thrilled that everybody sang her happy birthday. Yeah.
I'm so disappointed. Oh, I'm sorry.
It turned out that it was a night that my mother had come to see the play, and she fought her way backstage, And then when she discovered that the Queen Ma was on the stage with me and the rest of the cast, she fought her way through the crowd on the stage because she was determined to see it all. She had very sharp elbows, my Ma.
I opened a royal can of worms. I'm so disappointed.
Charles said.
Oh.
Charles speaks in a mumble. He never really quite. He said, "I think I've seen you on television." And I said, "It's entirely possible, sir, and indeed grimly likely." But he wasn't amused at all. Quite hard to crack a smile on that face. But he's my king now. He's Charles III. They haven't been very happy kings. The Charleses, the second one lost his head. They chopped it off. They had enough of kings. But I think Charlie will do better. But Queen Camilla, I don't get at all. She's a real frump. I hope there's nobody here from the newspapers. Or I'll never get a knighthood. And a damn good thing, too.
I don't need to be here at all. Just go.
I could ramble on if you wish. I don't know that I ever won a Grammy. I don't know whether any of our cast albums did. I know that we were nominated at least once. But I don't know whether we won. I did go to the Grammys once, and I got... And a flunky said, perhaps you'd like to go up to the bar. And I said, you bet I would. And I was asked to join a table with John Lennon and David Bowie. And that was pretty fun.
How much cocaine did you do with them?
I beg your pardon? How much what? Ask me again. I don't think John did blow. Between David and I, we snorted half of a Peru. He was in his thin white Duke period and had a fedora, and it was his least successful personality, really. You know that his wife, Angie, was the first person to talk back to the proceedings, because when Riff Raff said that it was time that we were going to return to Transylvania, but first he had to kill me. She cried out, "No, don't do it." So I loved her.
Would you like another question? Or should I bring?
Yeah, sure, why not? Otherwise it'll be like my book, endless.
Why are you looking at me that way? So one more, and then I'm going to bring Lou up.
Yeah, bring him up now.
All right. I'd like to introduce to everybody
He's much smarter than me.
the visionary, the California dreamer, the man who took the chance, one of the coolest people I've ever met, Lou Adler.
Yay, Lou. Yay, Lou.
Wearing Crocs.
Sorry to interrupt your show.
No nonsense. I was just banging on because I thought that I was supposed to entertain. But I shut up now. It's you now. You're on the chopping block.
So I was talking to Lou on the phone earlier today, and I asked you, when did you make your money? And he said in 1959, he wrote Baby Talk for Jan and Dean. And then he wrote Wonderful World with Sam Cooke. And then California Dreamin'.
I didn't know that.
I mean, this is just some of them.
Wow.
Sir, you are a master songwriter. And what song, the same question, what song for Rocky Horror hooked you, and what did the music mean to you?
All of them, I think, for different reasons. I first saw the show after it left the Royal Court, and it was in a 200-seater on Kings Road. And
It was a movie theater.
yeah, the classic, I think.
The classic, yeah. It
Yeah,
was
it was-
about to be demolished, and we went. We did the show there, oddly, in front of the screen, the way that the shadow cast to. And
It's the beginning of the shadow cast.
I guess so.
Anyway, what may be interesting is the way it came about. I had a relationship at the time with Brett Eklund, who lived in London. We had a child, a little boy, Nikolai,
Yeah.
and I would go in periodically every couple of weeks to see Brett and Nikolai. And Brett called and said, "I think you ought to move up whatever time you were planning to come in, because there's a show called the Rocky Horror Show that's I think you'd be really interested in and may want to get involved in some way." So Brett is sort of the godmother of Rocky Horror as far as USA is concerned. So I did, and that night, I was still in jet lag, but I went to see the show, and it was it was 50s for me. I grew up on the 50s music, and it was Paul and Paula, like it was Brad and Janet, and it was the Skyliners as far as over at the Frankenstein place. And I just related to all of that, and could have just gone on thinking that until this guy came on stage, and believe me, he had a pair of legs that female, male, whatever you may be, you were taken.
Well, they just showed the clip of the floor show, and Bostwick has got much better legs.
Anyway, so what it was for me was, and the same with Tim, he brought to rock and roll, other than anyone else that I saw before that, theatrical, the theater. He was able to sing like Broadway, but make it rock and roll, because somewhere in his DNA, it's what he really loved. And May, if you had a choice at any particular time, would you become a singer as opposed to an actor?
Well, when I was 22, I did my first job in the theater, which was the musical Hair. And one of the reasons I did it was that I thought that I could postpone the decision whether to be a singer or an actor.
I think the difference in Hair and Jesus Christ Superstar, the writers were trying to write rock and roll. They were theater writers. And Richard, he was the source. He was the truth. He loved rock and roll, and he was able to make it so the play didn't stop for the song. It just kept it moving along.
Yeah.
It was the storyline each time a song came up. I found out an interesting thing today. Richard did a interview for a magazine called Loop, I think it is. I don't know if that's right. Anyway, he said, I didn't come up with Don't Dream It, Be It. It was an advertisement I heard for a product. And I don't know what the product was, but thank goodness for...
no one can remember.
Yeah. But anyway,
well, some of us live by it. It was a good ad.
But it was right for the time, and it was right for 50 years from that time, and it'll be right forever, I think. It just continues with every generation. When we first started it, when we first brought it here, the audience was more theater at the Roxy. And as it went on, it got younger and younger, and eventually it ended up to be a family movie. And you'll see grandfathers and their grandkids at some of the showings sneaking in. Of all things, it's an R, which is unbelievable. But at the time, they didn't know what letter to put on it. Anyway, we moved from that night, the night that I saw it. I went to a party in London given by a man who I loved his name, Bellevue, Hercules Bellevue. Herky.
Herky.
And
That was
Michael,
his real name.
Unbelievable. Michael White, who was the original producer, was at the party, and I made a deal with him that night, actually, to for the world rights outside of the UK. And I said I would do the US only if Tim would come and do it. And that was part of the original contract. And also, it introduced me to another. I'm a little. Rashomon is supposed to be when 2 or 3 people see the same event in 2 or 3 different ways. I have Rashomon within myself. I see the same thing happen, and as time goes on, I have a couple different versions about it. But one of the versions I had was I had heard a song by Earth, Wind, and Fire called After the Love Is Gone. I love the music of it. And I found out that a young Canadian had written the music, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, still didn't have a green card. And I said, if we do the music at the Roxy, I'd love to get him and eventually have him on the cast album, which by the time we got to the cast album, he turned out to be what David Foster turned out to be. And I say that as a way of
a segue. Yeah, everybody. The original keyboardist from the show, from the Roxy, he music directed and he did the cast album. He is an Islander from Victoria in Canada, the winner of 16 Grammys from 45 nominations, Mr. David Forrester. Thank you for being part of the soundtrack of my life.
Well, I owe it to this man here because, everybody needs a break, no matter, even the best ideas need a champion. And I thought I was a pretty good idea as a musician and a songwriter, but Lou gave me the opportunity to really play for the first time. My dream always was to come to Los Angeles and be a studio musician with all the names I had read on the albums. And Lou gave me that opportunity to join the big boys, as it were, on that cast album, and it was a thrilling moment for me. And my whole experience with the Roxy Theater, and this Rocky Horror Show was such a phenomenon, such a big part of my life. And here we are, 50 years later, talking about it. So thank you, Lou Adler.
Quite right.
None of us would be up here if it wasn't for him, anyway.
Yeah. Woo! And David, backstage you said something to Tim. You want to repeat what you said?
You mean about the possibility of what we're going to do?
No.
Not that, no.
That every night, because you were there every night.
Oh, yeah. Well, is anybody here, did anybody see the show at the Roxy? Yeah. A couple of people, right? So I had a bird's eye view because I was in the pit, which was not the pit, it was up high. And so we could look over the thing. And I'm telling you, every night, because of this man who left it all on the stage, every night. I swear, I watched it for 1 year and 2 weeks. I was there every night. I had to be. I was the piano player. He left it all out there every night. And my God, the people that came to see this show, you'd look out and, we're just a little band. We don't get to mix with anybody. We're like, there's Michael Jackson. There's Elizabeth Taylor. There's Dustin Hoffman. I mean, the list of celebs was just, it was just phenomenal. And it's just a great experience. And I will say that just behind the scenes, we were lean and mean, wouldn't you say, Lou? Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole show was kind of lean and mean. I mean, there was a scene where there's lightning and thunder, and to get that effect, I had to shake the guitar amp every night, like boom, and the reverb would rattle, and that was the thunder and lightning. So we were, he kept a tight ship.
How were your accommodations as far as where the band was?
Sorry, say that again?
The accommodations where the band was.
The band was in a space about maybe a third the size of this stage. We were just crammed. But it was, you know what? I was 20 years older, but I just loved it. I loved going to work every night, and I loved the show, and I can't thank you enough for having me.
What a guy.
Sorry?
Some weeks ago, I was doing an interview. Actually, it's a documentary, and Lou and I were being interviewed at the same time, and I said, I really miss singing. I'd like to do it again. And he said, you should come and do a night here. We were at the Roxy. And I said, I would love to do that. And what I would like to do would be to call David and see if he would do it with me and put a band together. And then I said to Lou, but he's such a big star now, he probably won't want to.
I would jump at the chance, as I told you, and who wouldn't come to that? Yeah. It'd be...
I hope you mean that, because I'll need the money.
Well, I do mean it.
But there won't be any.
100%, and I already told your gal with you that my fee is $1, but I'm going to give you the family rate on that. So I'm there 100%.
We're going to introduce the last person, and we're going to take some questions from the audience. Next up, the youngest member of this panel. I think he was born after Rocky Horror came out. The guy who did all the artwork recently, Mr. David Gorman.
Hey.
David, backstage, you told me how little you did to change the artwork of the album. So why did you do so little?
Yeah, I think it's, what I contributed to the album is inversely proportional to what it contributed to me. It's probably the best way I can say this. The reason I did so little to it is because it's iconic as it is. I think the level of respect we had to bring to repackaging it. I don't know how many of you in the audience know this, if you're art nerds or not, but the designer of that cover is a legend in his own right, a guy named John Pash, who designed the Rolling Stones tongue logo. So there's sort of an intimidation. I work on a lot of these types of archival projects, and there's certain artists that you approach, and you kind of, the kind of arrogance it would take to be like, oh, I can do that a little better. Let me have at it. So this process was very much one of preservation. I think we talked about this. It's almost like, you know, when they're restoring the Sistine Chapel and you see the person with the Q-tips and the rubbing alcohol just trying to bring out the best of what it was. That's what this was, of just trying to restore it. We did get some new material for it, some photos that had never been seen, some stuff from Richard's own diaries that we reproduced. But even with that, it was respectful. Those notes were handwritten, so they're handwritten in the package. There's just not much of an attempt to try and put, you know, my stamp on it. This whole project is, I don't know, it's just me sort of giving something back to something that, you know, like you, like altered my life and kind of gave me a sense of belonging that I never had as just, you know, the weird art kid growing up outside Detroit, trying on sort of different suits to see which group I might fit in with. And, you know, hardcore kids beat me up, the jocks beat me up. There was sort of this like, where do I really belong? And, you know, seeing Tim burst out on a screen, and I think it was the first time I saw a movie where, and I'm going to use this word with just all the respect in the world, the first time the freak was the hero of the film. That's who you wanted to be. And that, you know, normally Brad and Janet are who you're supposed to be. And to watch a movie and to see that story where, no, they want to be him, everyone wants to be him, and having that freedom to be like, okay, I don't need to put on someone else's suit. I don't need to find my crowd to fit into. And it's, you know, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm still figuring that out. I'm still in that journey, but this is a touch point, and I think it came around when I got the call from Lou to work on this at all. It just came around at another pivotal moment where I had to be reminded, you know, just kind of be who you are.
Well done.
Yeah,
Hooray. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm just here in service. This is all me trying to, you know, give a little something back. I kind of grew up in a post-Rocky world. You know, you guys made it happen, and, you know, but I think you and I both were close in age. So, you know, we grew up in, to a degree, like the world that you all created. You know, there were like freedoms we enjoyed that in 1974 might not have existed.
You're right, kid.
It was just free speech.
Well,
It's
it's
in
the
the
50th anniversary. We can fight
Constitution.
for it all over.
Let's open that crowd up to some questions. Do I pass this mic to people? No. Just be loud. Yeah, question.
I have a question that my sisters and I have been discussing. Mr. Curry, I'm Cheryl, and your biggest fan. All these people, it can just be me and you.
Yeah.
It's just me and you. My question is, and if I don't know who would answer it, Mr. Curry, you may, if Mr. Adler might answer. The audience participation, was the movie written with that in mind, or play written with that in mind? Did they do it?
No, it wasn't.
So how did that get started?
It was slow.
I think the first person to talk back to the screen was Mark Shaman,
No.
who
Louis Fries. Mark was part of that group, but
Oh.
Louis is the one that yelled
oh really?
about the buy an umbrella, bitch. That was the first line. But the interesting thing about that is the film was made for 20th Century Fox distribution. And when I showed the film to the marketing department, I think there were 60 people in the room. And I showed the film, and the film ended. That's about what you heard.
There was a dead silence.
Yeah. And
All
so
these
the po-
executives, and we crept out of the room.
The point is that although we never put any money into it, no advertising, no marketing, but the lines that were being said at the Waverly in New York were being said in Austin, Texas, and in Cleveland, without them they were just natural. They were not written, and people, maybe they called around and said, have you tried? but mostly it was just a natural instinct to yell. And that participation, obviously, it's part of and it's gone over to the Rocky Horror Show, which plays all over the world. But they're yelling at the actors on stage, which can't be very much fun for them.
It keeps changing everywhere. The lines keep changing, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't do it in the theater.
Thank you both. Thank you so much.
Over there.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. Nice to meet all of you. I actually want to start with a really quick anecdote, and I want to be respectful of time, but Tim, I actually have met you before. In 2012, I'm 17, I'm 30 years old, so yeah, I think I was 16 or 17. I had the pleasure of meeting you before you did an amazing play that you did with Eric Idle called What About Dig, I think. And you were with Russell Brand, and it was an amazing cast. It was an amazing production. And we all know what an amazing act you are.
Eddie Izzard,
yes,
too.
Eddie Izzard was there. Who played the, gosh, I can't remember.
I think Tracy Ullman
That's
did
what I
it
was
too.
thinking. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, I was before, but anyway, we all know what an amazing actor you are, but I want to just share something really quickly about the kind of person you are. I was waiting behind the theater, correctly assuming you might be behind the stage door smoking a cigarette, and I was the only person there. And you had I think you had two assistants with you, and you saw me over there, and you sent them to go talk to me, and I surely thought when they got to me, they were going to tell me, hey, fuck off. Go away. But that's not what happened, and I will never forget for the rest of my life. And I want to say thank you, because it's meant the world to me. They got to me, and I just poured my heart out. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a big fan of Tim. Can I please get an autograph or a picture? I'm so sorry if I'm bothering anybody. And they said, no, he wants to meet you. We're going to walk you over to him. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, you're so very welcome. Thank you.
And I asked you for advice because I have the same predicament that you had when you were 22 years old. I wanted to know if I wanted to be an actress or a singer, and I went on to go to music school in Boston and become a recording artist, and I want to thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
Anyways, my question is, for all of you, seriously, it meant the world to me, but my question is, for all of you on stage, 50 years from now, how do you want this show, this musical, this film to be remembered?
That's for you, Lou.
Mike?
I
It's great.
I hope it's still playing.
It will be playing, no doubt.
We'll make sure of it. It's in good hands.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question. Hi.
Take good care of my baby.
Do you have any tattoos, Tim?
I don't. I've always considered it the possibility, but I could never decide what I wanted to memorialize and where.
There's a line from the film taken from an old ad that would be really appropriate.
Yeah, it would. I had a great friend in hair called Diane Langton, who went on to be something of a musical star. And she had a Maltese gangster boyfriend. And he had, which he showed us very proudly at a dinner party, tattooed in his pubic hair. It's all yours, darling. So I think that's quite stylish. And one would hope that it would be discovered at eye level.
Any men have a question?
Yeah, my question actually is for Lou. So at the beginning of the movie, it's Nixon's resignation speech. Now, does the event, the evening actually take place on August 8th, 1974, or is there some significance to the usage of that in the movie itself?
Yes. You.
Let me say page.
He said.
Oh, sorry. You want me to repeat it? You repeat it. Why did you use Nixon's resignation speech at the beginning of the movie?
Why did you use Nixon's resignation speech?
I think that was Jim's
He
idea.
was right for the time. If we were to make the movie today, we all know whose speech I would.
You wish.
I wish there was a resignation speech.
That's why I think, to answer the question about 50 years from now, when it seems whenever the Rocky Horror Picture Show is needed because of some social situation, it rears its head. And I think it always will when it is needed. And as we are aware of today, it'll be there and forever.
When the forces of conservatism get too strong. A friend of mine in England sent me an email saying, "Why are you still living there? How is it to live underneath the Tangerine Messiah?" And it does seem like a resignation speech is very much in order.
Over there. Way over there.
Hello, old neighbor from Manhattan, from the Village, from the early 80s. I used to get your mail in my mailbox. I lived in the penthouse right next door to you.
You did?
Beautiful green garden on the roof of a certain herb.
It's true, but I remember the apartment next to me being occupied by my Cuban dresser. Oh, right. Hi. It was a great building. I loved that apartment. It was like a baby loft. And it was right behind the Waverly. And when I went home in a taxi, I would see the line forming with everyone in costume. And it was very exciting.
Question, out of all the things that you've ever done, with Lou, with anyone else, is this your ultimate favorite piece of work, or what's your ultimate favorite work that you have done? And aside from being who you are in the beautiful show that we're all, celebrating now, what is the thing most that you want to be remembered for your work, for your singing, your dancing, your acting?
I don't think I'll be remembered for my dancing. Nor yet really my singing, because not enough people have heard it. And, you know, even CDs have a sell-by date. I think it's this one because it's unavoidable that it should be, but I'm very, very proud of it. So if it is my legacy, I'm very happy.
Pennywise the Clown is very memorable too. Yeah, you and you at the same time.
So it's not often that a person gets opportunity to see the, not the origin story necessarily, but the impetus of so much talent and how a confluence of events just happens and the world just gets I mean, everything that comes from it. Even down to the documentary, the F Word, and seeing how you embraced that and raised your family and lived your life, and just hearing these stories and the music that you brought to people and raised with it. And I mean, come on, David Foster, and this art that you're bringing and paying homage to, and all of it coming from something that nobody at the time had any inkling or idea that this was going to carry on and live and bring all of you into our lives in such an amazing and fanciful way. So for all of that, thank you so much. You know, I always, like, the thank yous, I think, are so important. So thank you for that.
That was so beautifully said. Thank you.
I think we have to thank all of you.
You know, everybody probably in this room knows that the good things that you try and do in your life, you don't plan them. Just when you think you're supposed to go left, you end up going right. And, excuse me, things that I've done in my life that I plan, oh, this is going to be a hit, this is going to be great. Like, they hardly ever work out. It's the unexpected that really gives you the most joy and the most quote-unquote success. And I think that it's safe to say that we all did this, certainly, I mean, not maybe Lou was thinking about the money a little bit, I don't know, because you put money into it, but it was just a joy to be there every night for a year and 2 weeks. And I think everybody felt the same way. I mean, good Lord, you had Meatloaf in the cast. I mean, good Lord, and Kim Milford, and it was just it was really something. I mean, there's a lot of similar stories, but this is our story.
David was saying that every night you saw him every night. Right. And what I did during that time, we built at the Roxy a ramp that went from the stage into the lobby. And every single night that it played at the Roxy, I think it was every night, I would go up to the dressing room, and Tim and I would come down, and then we go out the back door into the parking lot. Now he's dressed, and we're going into the Rainbows parking lot, which is sort of a different crowd that is at the show. But then...
And I had my dresser, Craig, who was a sort of willowy guy.
We'd go around.
He used to hold up the end of my cloak.
Right. Into the front door for Tim's entrance. And that's why I was there every night, to see that entrance when he stepped up on the ramp and made his way to the stage. And then I did whatever I had to do, but I made sure that I was there every night for that. And anybody there were not many people here that were at the Roxy, but that was a very special theatrical moment.
The box office was was sort of on the sidewalk, but with one of those plexiglass holes that you could speak through. And I used to lurk and hide in there quite often. And I was there for the first opening night. And Lou had a really Hollywood spotlight raking the sky. And I saw this explosion of light, which was flashbulbs, because Mick Jagger and Bianca were coming in through the front door, and so I earwigged. And Bianca said, "Mick, we can't go on going out like this every night. All those paparazzi." And Mick said, "Yeah, Bianca, I noticed that you didn't like it very much. But we've got to get on with it. Now, I mean, so he burst her bubble.
All right, this guy.
This better be good.
I just wanted to say that I actually hate to disagree with you, but I think a lot of people would agree with me that you have an amazing voice. I discovered you as a singer a long time before I ever saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show. My friend Doug Matthews played "I Do the Rock" for me.
Thank
If
you.
do this at the Roxy, I'm gonna come and sing along with everyone. And I just thought your voice could do anything. And then like a couple of years later, some of my friends wanted to drag me to the midnight movie. And the minute I heard you belt out "Sweet Transvestite," I thought, oh, it's that guy who does who I Do the Rock.
I like that.
So I wanted to ask you about your music, and I know you have these wonderful albums, and my favorites are the covers that you've done. Like you did "I Will" as a reggae number, and you did, "All I Want" by Joni Mitchell. And I just wanted to know, like, what was your favorite song to cover on any of your albums? Do you have any?
I think, well, I love Joni, and I covered "Cold Blue Steel." "Blue Fire," which I read as a junkie going to the jungle gym to get some cold blue steel in her arm. And it was a very visual song, which I liked.
Maybe your best song you haven't done yet.
I hope so. Maybe it'll be the one we write together, David.
Yeah.
All right, who we got? You're close.
Hello.
We went every single Friday and Saturday night. It was a thing. I don't know how I got in at 14 because it was R-rated. Did it for at least 3 to 4 years. And when I first saw you come down that elevator at 14 years old, I thought you were the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen in my life. I want to tell you, looking at you today, I feel the exact same way.
That's the right thing to say. Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. You look absolutely gorgeous. Just wanna let you know.
Thank you so much.
And that's what we're going to end on. Perfect ending. They just told me we have to end. Everybody, what a pleasure. Look at these people.
Good job, Mike. Good job.
Yo.
Exit tone. God bless you.